Namaste, Dandavad Pranam. By the instruction and guidance of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa, Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're also paying our humble Dandavad Pranam to Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada for providing us this wonderful commentary and translation of Bhagavatam. And following the guidance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we are praying to Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said that unless we can discover something about Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī in Bhagavatam, then our study has been for waste. Yadi sevā-vañcitāḥ yasyāḥ kṛpayā vayaṃ labhema sarvaṃ prāpnumaḥ prayojanaṃ dhāmni śrī-bhagavat pade Kṛṣṇa-sambandhi sarvaṃ Yadi na jānīmahe tutam Aṣṭādaśasu sahasreṣu ślokānāṃ bhāgavat-oktiṣu Radharanim vindamatada nisfalam bhagavat adhyayanam radhikaya kripam vina vyartasyat sarva-pariśramaḥ. If we are cheated out of serving that personality whose mercy awards us everything we need, including residence in the Lord's holy dham and all things connected to Krishna, and if we cannot understand or discover Radharani within the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, then our study of Bhagavatam has been pointless. Without the mercy of Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī, all of our efforts are in vain. So we are continuing our reading today from Canto 5, Chapter 13, Text 17. Tarvanchito hamsa kulam samavishan arochayan silam upaiti bhanaran tajjati rasena sunirvritendriya parasparo dvikshana vishmrtavari. Being cheated by them, the living entity in the forest of the material world tries to give up the association of these so-called yogis, swamis, and incarnations, and come to the association of real devotees. But due to misfortune, he cannot follow the instructions of the spiritual master or advanced devotees. Therefore he gives up their company and again returns to the association of monkeys who are simply interested in sense gratification and women. He derives satisfaction by associating with sense gratifiers and enjoying sex and intoxication. In this way he spoils his life simply by indulging in sex and intoxication. Looking into the faces of other sense gratifiers, he becomes forgetful and thus approaches death. Purport. Sometimes a foolish person becomes disgusted with bad association and comes to the association of devotees and brahmanas and takes initiation from a spiritual master. As advised by the spiritual master, he tries to follow the regulative principles, but due to misfortune he cannot follow the instructions of the spiritual master. He therefore gives up the company of devotees and goes to associate with simian people who are simply interested in sex and intoxication. Those are so-called spiritualists are compared to monkeys. Outwardly, monkeys sometimes resemble sadhus, because they live naked in the forest and pick fruits, but their only desire is to keep many female monkeys and enjoy sex life. Sometimes so-called spiritualists seeking a spiritual life come to associate with Krishna-conscious devotees, but they cannot execute the regulative principles or follow the path of spiritual life. Consequently, they leave the association of devotees and go to associate with sense gratifiers, who are compared to monkeys. Again, they revive their sex and intoxication, and looking at one another's faces, they are thus satisfied. In this way, they pass their lives up to the point of death. Text 18. Drumeshu ramsyan sutta dharavatsalo vyabhaya dino vivasasva bandhane kvachit pramadad giri kandare patan valim grihit vagaja bitta astita. When the living entity becomes exactly like a monkey, jumping from one branch to another, he remains in the tree of household life without any profit but sex. Thus he is kicked by his wife just like the he-ass. Unable to gain release, he remains helplessly in that position. Sometimes he falls victim to an incurable disease, which is like falling into a mountain cave. He becomes afraid of death, which is like the elephant in the back of that cave. He remains stranded, grasping at the twigs and branches of a creeper. Purport. The precarious condition of a householder's life is described herein. A householder's life is full of misery, and the only attraction is sex, with the wife who kicks him during sexual intercourse, just as the she-ass does her mate. Due to continuous sex life, he falls victim to many incurable diseases. At that time, being afraid of death, which is like an elephant, he remains hanging from the twigs and branches of the tree, just like a monkey. Text 19. Atakatanchit savimukta apada punascha sartam pravisatya rindama advanyamusmin ajaya niveshito brahmanjano dhyapi naveda kaschana. O killer of enemies, Maharaj Rahūgaṇa, if the conditioned soul somehow or other gets out of his dangerous position, he again returns to his home to enjoy sex life, for that is the way of attachment. Thus, under the spell of the Lord's material energy, he continues to loiter in the forest of material existence. He does not discover his real interest, even at the point of death. Purport. This is the way of material life. When one is captured by sexual... This is the purport. This is the way of material life. When one is captured by sexual attraction, he becomes implicated in so many ways and cannot understand the real aim of life. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam 5.13.17 says, Nate vidhu svarta gatim hi vishnum. Generally, people do not understand the ultimate goal of life, as stated in the Vedas. Om tad vishnu paramam padam sada pasyanti suraya. Those who are spiritually advanced simply look at the lotus feet of Vishnu. The conditioned soul, however, not being interested in reviving his relationship with Vishnu, becomes captivated by material activities and remains in everlasting bondage, being misled by so-called leaders. Text 20. Rahūgaṇa tvam api hyadvanosya sanyasta danda krita bhuta maitra asajjitatma hari sevayasitam janasim adaya tarati param. My dear King Rahūgaṇa, You are also a victim of the external energy, being situated on the path of attraction to material pleasures, so that you may become an equal friend to all living entities. I now advise you to give up your kingly position and the rod by which you punish criminals. Give up attraction to the sense objects and take up the sword of knowledge sharpened by devotional service. Then you will be able to cut the hard knot of illusory energy and cross to the other side of the ocean of nescience. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna compares the material world to a tree of illusion from which one must cut oneself free. Narupam asheha tato palabhyate nantona chadirna cha sampratista asvatam enam suvirudamulam ashanga shastrena dridhena chitva tata padam tat parimargidvayam yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuya tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yata pravritti prashrita purani. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this tree with the weapon of detachment. So doing, one must seek that place from which, having once gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom everything has begun, and in whom everything is abiding since time immemorial. Bhagavad Gita 15.3 through 4. Text 21. Rajovacha aho nirjanma kila janma sobanam kim janma bistva parer apyumusmin nayadrishikesha yasa kritatmanam mahatmanam va prachura samagama. King Rahūgaṇa said, "This birth as a human being is the best of all. Even birth among the demigods in the heavenly planets is not as glorious as birth as a human being on this earth. What is the use of the exalted position of demigods? In the heavenly planets, due to profuse material comforts, there is no possibility of associating with pure devotees." Purport. Human birth is a great opportunity for self-realization. One may take birth in a high planetary system among demigods, but due to the profusion of material comforts, one cannot gain release from material bondage. Even on this earth, those who are very opulent do not generally care to take to Krishna consciousness. An intelligent person actually interested in getting freed from the material clutches must associate with pure devotees. By such association, one can gradually become detached from material attraction of money and women. Money and women are the basic principles of material attachment. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore advised those who are actually serious about returning back to Godhead to give up money and women in order to be fit to enter the kingdom of God. Money and women can be fully utilized in the service of the Lord, and one who utilized in this way can become freed from material bondage. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hrit karna rasayana kata. Bhagavatam 3.25.25. Only in the association of devotees can one relish the glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just through a little association with a pure devotee, one can become successful in his journey back to Godhead. Dandavat pranam tosi Maharani Devi Dasi.
Dandavat pranam.
Text 22. Nahyad bhutam tvach charnabjarenu bir hatam haso bhaktir adhoksaje mala mahordi kadyasya samagamachchame dustarka mulo pahato viveka. It is not at all wonderful that simply by being covered by the dust of your lotus feet, one immediately attains the platform of pure devotional service to Adhoksaja, which is not available even to great demigods like Brahma. By associating with you for just a moment, I am now freed from all argument, false prestige, and lack of discrimination, which are the roots of entanglement in the material world. Now I am free from all these problems. Purport. Association with pure devotees certainly frees one from the material clutches. This is certainly true of King Rahūgaṇa's association with Jaḍa Bharata. King Rahūgaṇa was immediately freed from the misgivings of material association. The arguments offered by pure devotees to their disciples are so convincing that even a dull-headed disciple is immediately enlightened with spiritual knowledge. Text 23. Namo mahabhyostu namasishubhyo namo yuvabhyo nama avatubhya ye brahmana gam avadhutalingas charanti tebhya shivam Aṣṭādaśasu. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the greatest personalities, whether they walk on the earth's surface as children, young boys, avaduts, or great brahmanas. Even if they are hidden under different guises, I offer my respects to all of them. By their mercy, may there be good fortune in the royal dynasties that are always offending them. Purport. King Rahūgaṇa was very repentant because he had forced Jaḍa Bharata to carry his palanquin. He therefore began offering prayers to all kinds of brahmanas and self-realized persons, even though they might be playing like children or hiding in some guises. The 4 Kumars walked everywhere in the guise of 5-year-old boys, and similarly there are many brahmanas, knowers of Brahman, who traverse the globe either as young men, children, or avaduts. Being puffed up due to their position, the royal dynasties generally offend these great personalities. Therefore King Rahūgaṇa began to offer his respectful obeisance unto them, so that the offensive royal dynasties might not glide down into a hellish condition. If one offends a great personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not excuse one, although the great personalities themselves might not take offense. Maharaj Ambarish was offended by Durvasa, who even approached Lord Vishnu for pardon. Lord Vishnu would not grant him pardon, therefore he had to fall down at the lotus feet of Maharaj Ambarish, even though Maharaj Ambarish was a Kshatriya Grihastha. One should be very careful not to offend the lotus feet of Vaishnavas and Brahmanas. Text 24. Shri Shuka Uvacha Ityevam Uttara Matasavai Brahmarshi Sutta Sindhu Pataya Atma Sattvam Vighana Yata Paranubhava Parama Karuni katayodpadisya Rahūgaṇena sakarunam abhivandita charana apurnarnava iva nibrita kara normyasyayo dharanim imam vichachara. Srila Sukadeva Goswami continued, My dear king, O son of Mother Uttara, there were some waves of dissatisfaction in the mind of Jaḍa Bharata due to his being insulted by King Rahūgaṇa, who made him carry his palanquin. But Jaḍa Bharata neglected this, and his heart again became calm and quiet like an ocean. Although King Rahūgaṇa had insulted him, he was a great Paramahamsa. Being a Vaishnava, he was naturally very kind-hearted, and he therefore told the king about the constitutional position of the soul. He then forgot the insult because King Rahūgaṇa pitifully begged pardon at his lotus feet. After this, he began to wander all over the earth just as before. Purport. In Srimad Bhagavatam 5.13.21, Kapila Dev describes the symptoms of great personalities. Titikshasva karunikaha surida sarvaṃ dehinam. A saintly devotee is certainly very tolerant. He is the friend of all living entities, and he does not create enemies within the world. A pure devotee has all qualities of a sadhu. Jaḍa Bharata is an example of this. Due to the material body, his senses were certainly agitated when he was insulted by King Rahūgaṇa. But later, due to the king's humble submission, Jaḍa Bharata excused him. It is the duty of everyone desiring to return to Godhead to become submissive like King Rahūgaṇa, and beg pardon of Vaishnavas one may have offended. Vaishnavas are generally very kind-hearted. Therefore, if one immediately submits himself at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, one is immediately cleared of offensive reactions. If one does not do so, the reactions will remain, and the results will not be very palatable. And thus ends our reading for today. We will continue from text 25 on Friday. Before we conclude for today, were there any comments or questions or anything to share from the assembled devotees? Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Guru Dev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Tirtha Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai.
Jai.
All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees, Sama Bhakti Veda Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai,
Jai.
Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Giri
Jai.
Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai,
Jai.
Shyam Kund Radha Kund Ki Jai, Tulsi
Jai.
Devi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Ki Jai,
Jai.
Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Jai
Jai.
Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Scientific
Jai.
Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai,
Jai.
Princeton Bhakti Vedanta Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur
Jai.
Premanandi, Hari 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 Bol. Jai
Haribo.
Śrīmatī Tulsi Maharani Devi Dasi Ki Jai, Jai
Jai.
Bhakti Shivam Ki Jai, Hare
Jai.
Krishna,
And Krishna Keshavadass Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.